When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
The podcast that something Chapel Rowan something. Good luck, babe.
Oh my God! You said she's the. Somebody said she's the Britney of the summer, and you said no, better than that. She's the Lady Gaga of the summer.
Yeah. She has a higher quality than Britney can offer.
I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality, and today
she's spelling hot to go.
Okay. I know that you have this mission to make me love her and or at least listen to her.
I just know who she is. You just need to know that she is a person that exists and she sings songs.
I still can't say her name and sometimes think she might be a drag queen. So
I sometimes say Chappelle Rowan on accident.
We're not here to talk about her.
No.
Oh, we should do an episode on her.
Well, we should.
Maybe.
Yeah, sometime.
No? Okay, great. Yeah. But first, here's the news.
Shut your mouth hole, it's time for your ear holes. News.
Okay, Kyle.
Okay.
News the first.
Yeah.
We got this Olympics thing.
Oh, okay.
We got to talk about this Olympics thing.
Yeah.
Which I told you at the bar I was going to talk about the Olympics thing. Did you indeed not read anything about it after I mentioned it to you?
I didn't read anything about it.
Okay, great. Okay, well.
Instagram people told me about it a little bit.
What does Instagram say about boxing and the Olympics?
That she's not trans.
Yeah.
So, and even if she was, we need to respect the that women can still play sports.
News the first is that Algerian boxer Imane Khalif was in the ring for less than a minute before her opponent, Angela Carini of Italy, abandoned the fight. And so she said she'd never been hit that hard in her life and implied that there was an issue with the gender of her opponent. Now, it has since turned wildfire crazy cuckoo bananas on the right, saying that this is what happens when you let men into women's sports, etc. The thing is, Khalif is a cisgender woman. Quote, the Algerian boxer was born female, was registered female, lived her life as a female, boxed as a female, has a female passport. This is not a transgender case. That was Mark Adams, who's a spokesperson for the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. Now, she was supposedly tested by and failed a gender marker test, but results from that have been difficult to get at. The truth has been difficult to get at, and there's a Russian quote-unquote news agency that is the primary source for that. It may or may not have even happened. But the worst that they claimed is not that she is trans, but just that she had some XY chromosomes and had elevated levels of testosterone, which chimerism is a thing. That happens because, spoiler alert, gender and sex are very complicated.
Yeah, they're not as easy as you learned in 7th grade.
But yeah, and here's the thing. There's a lot of opinions about what's happening here, and they're all shitty.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have react? Help me out here.
I mean, of course that this was gonna come up at some point during the Olympics, and it is a common, and even among cis women, there are ranges to what you'd expect them to test at for things like testosterone. So we need to accept that even women, cis women, exist within a wide array of possibilities. And the fact that someone that won was being then called trans is a combination of sexism, racism, and misogyny.
Yeah.
Wait, sexism and misogyny is the same thing. Transphobia.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's what people don't think about. And by people, I mean assholes.
Yeah.
There are cis women who, because of certain genetic conditions, have full-on XY chromosomes throughout their entire body, but that can still express itself phenotypically as a woman. Sorry, not a woman, a biological female body. It is not as simple as it is XX or XY. It's just not.
Yeah.
There are lots of ways in which you can have more than just 2 sex chromosomes. You can have the sex chromosomes that are on there, XY, result in a male presenting or female presenting or intersex body. And what is everybody so fucking mad about?
Yeah.
You have to peel it apart, and it's ultimately that their world doesn't make sense anymore. And instead of learning how to adapt and accept it, they're just mad.
Yeah, it's easier to pretend that everyone falls into the category of boy and girl than to like relearn biology and learn that sex is complicated and understand that humans categorize things in ways that make it easier, but is not actually in line with the true behavior of nature.
Yeah. I'm just mad. I'm just mad, Kyle.
Yeah.
This poor woman.
Yeah, that sucks. It really sucks.
And one of the interesting takes that I saw was that they're trying to, how did they put it? They're trying to keep men out of women's sports because they're afraid that women will beat them. Like, they want the narrative to be that, like, women can't compete with men. So the idea that, like, a trans woman who to them is a man would go and compete in women's sports and still lose ruins that part of the narrative for them. And she doesn't have a perfect record, for what it's worth. She's lost quite a few bouts through her career. It's not just like you're a dude, you win. That's not how it works.
We don't see trans women dominating at sports. Like, their fear is not happening. It's just not. It's not that all of a sudden trans women are competing and they're winning every single race. Like, what actually happens when you fit the whatever the guidelines that the sports thing says you have to transition for a certain number of years or whatever the rules are, then they fall actually in line with the average female performance.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Dickbag, fuckface, assholes. I don't know.
Fuck off.
News the second?
Yeah.
All right. So there's some shit going down at GLAAD, Kyle.
Oh.
So the New York Times reported Thursday that there was, quote, excessive spending by GLAAD and its president and CEO, Sarah Kate Ellis.
Is some gay redoing their office?
Well, no, she is... Okay, so the New York Times reported that her income was higher than is typical for other nonprofit organizations of GLAAD's size, and that her expense reports included potentially inappropriate spending on first-class flights, luxury hotel stays, and significant home office renovations.
Oh.
It criticized her for her spending while traveling to the popular tourist destination P-Town, Provincetown in Massachusetts, where GLAAD says she was conducting official business. That kind of maybe checks out. I don't know.
Yeah, I get. You might actually need to go where the gays are in this role.
The thing is, GLAAD denies a lot of this. For instance, the Times said that her compensation package could easily exceed $1 million annually, and GLAAD denies that. Their public filings indicate that GLAAD is probably right about that. She made... On her taxes last year, she made $575,000, which seems like a lot for running a nonprofit, but it's not $1 million, New York Times, unless they know something that we don't, that they're not reporting. Anyway, it is interesting because I think there is this whole, I don't know. Do you have a reaction, first of all?
It makes me defensive of GLAAD because I want our LGBT or like nonprofits to like be the reputable sources of information that we believe they are, and if they're fallible, then that is really difficult to like reconcile. But that's my immediate like gut reaction. If it's true, we need to know about it so that shit can get fixed.
Yep, and it is the New York Times. It's not Fox News. It's not the National Review.
Yeah.
It's the New York Times, who tends to. They have bias, which has been measured, but like for the most part, that's a reputable journalistic outlet that does not like they don't make shit up.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is an ongoing story. We'll see. Some people are saying it might have something to do with the fact that GLAAD consistently calls out the New York Times for failing to include trans voices in their coverage, which I've seen I've seen
they for sure do.
Complaints about that.
Yeah.
That maybe this is retaliatory in some way. I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, I want GLAAD to be pristine and happy and everything goes rainbows and sunshine because gays.
Yeah.
But that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yikes.
And news the last.
Yeah.
Fox News host Jesse Waters was making fun of the White Dudes for Harris fundraising call on Tuesday's episode of The Five. And he questioned why, quote, any man would vote Democrat, that claimed that it would have to be because of mommy issues. Quote, it's not, speaking about Democrats, quote, it's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength. It's definitely not the party of family. And to be a man and then vote for a woman just because she's a woman is either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they are just trying to be accepted by other women. I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
I voted Hillary and I'm a woman now.
I guess so.
You all remember when that happened.
Yeah. Is that why I'm gay?
Oh.
I voted for Hillary? No, I was gay before that.
But you knew in your soul, you knew you were going to vote for Hillary one day.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you came out.
Oh, the year I came out, I voted for Obama, and that's why I'm black.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, the White Dudes for Harris fundraising call was attended by over 180,000 men, raised more than $4 million, and I just can't see this DEI hire thing. I think is failing colossally. She's doing really well in the polls, and I think it's because people are tired of being told that if they support somebody who isn't a straight white cis man, that it's because of that person's non-straightness, non-whiteness, non-cisgenderedness, whatever the other one was, whiteness, straightness, cisness, maleness. I mean, like, you can vote for a woman and have it not be because she's a woman.
Right.
It's because she's awesome.
Yeah. And because the other option is super shitty.
They're running scared, man. Like I occasionally on Facebook, like once every few years or so, I post what I call the only chart that matters in American politics. And it shows that white people will be under 50% of the electorate by 2040. And I think that has a lot of people who are not introspective enough to question their own discomfort, that it's the last dying gasps of freaking out because white people will not control this country anymore soon. And I really think that's what it's all about. That's the only chart that matters in American politics. And I'm hopeful that perhaps this is the year that is the tipping point, but we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's the news, Kyle.
That's the news. Speaking of people that we hope are really introspective about themselves or life, I want to thank the following new Patreon members. Thank you to Mute.
I mean, we can't talk about that.
Yeah. And Armon. What?
Like the vampire?
I don't know who that is.
Isn't that a vampire from Interview with the Vampire, Armand? I think that was like Antonio Banderas' character's name. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're going to talk about vampires some point in our lives.
Yeah, we are.
And if you want...
Vampires so gay.
Vampires are gay. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. That's not today, though.
Not today, though.
Great, okay.
Today we have important things to cover. If you want ad-free episodes a day early, if you want to go to our Patreon happy hour, which if you're a Patreon member listening to this on Wednesday when it comes out, it is today. It is August 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to join us for our Patreon happy hour. But you get to show up to all of those, no matter what level of membership you are. And a lot of other benefits. Go to patreon.com/gayish podcast.
Free blowjobs.
Free blowjobs for everybody. Pull out your dick.
Do it. The pay for your...
The paying for the Patreon.
Giving us money.
Not put your dick away.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about glory holes?
Okay, let's talk about glory holes. Okay. So Kyle.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about glory holes.
Yep.
Have you been to one?
I have not. I've been I've seen them in like Steamworks or whatever, but I've never actually used a glory hole.
Same.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen one being used either. Like I've seen them, out and about, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And I like you said, like bathhouses or like other places like that, like nude resorts, like the Sex Hotel had one when we went with Davey Wavy. Actually, I think it had several. Anyway, I don't know that I've ever actually seen them being used either.
So let's do an entire episode where you and I talk about them.
Yeah,
this will be one out of the many episodes where we have no idea what we're talking about, but we're doing it anyway.
I mean, we did a whole episode about vaginas, Kyle. I think I think
our non-expertise is well established.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, I am going to talk to you about the history of glory holes, Kyle.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not? So here's the thing, Kyle.
Okay, what's the thing?
Dudes have been putting their dicks in holes for a really long time.
Yep.
Are you surprised by that?
No, if there's something that we can fit our dick into or come close to, we're going to try to stick it in there. And if there's not a hole, we're going to try to make a hole to stick our dick into it.
Yeah. Men are the worst. So, yeah, I mean, it's almost certain that some version of the glory hole has existed for as long as we've had public places that people go to the bathroom. But I do think let's do some calibrating. I'm going to be me about it. Fucking deal with it. So what makes a glory hole a glory hole? Because one working definition is that it has to be in a bathroom, which there are videos on the internet that lead me to believe that sometimes it's just anywhere.
Yeah. I don't think it has to be in the bathroom because you can have bathhouses that have glory holes and that's not a bathroom.
Or sometimes it's a hallway.
Or it could be a hallway. Yeah.
Like there's one dude who has one set up in his apartment in New York, and like he buzzes people in using the intercom. And when they open the front door to the apartment, when they walk in, they see just a sheet with a hole in it. Mm-hmm. And that's a glory hole, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe it needs better vocab or something.
Why don't, instead of you being yourself about it, answer your own question. Great. What is a glory hole to you?
A glory hole is a hole with glory.
That doesn't help.
No, it's a hole for sex, for anonymous sex, where the only things that are seen or interacted with are the operant parts. So usually that is a penis and a hole. Now, it is very much associated with gay culture, gay men especially using them, but it turns out that bi and heterosexual men use them a lot as well. And it's gaining popularity with women, which okay. But yeah, it's a hole where one person is also a hole, and the other person, the penis haver, puts their penis in the hole, and therefore also the hole.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you have any more nuance to add to this?
I mean, yeah. Sometimes it's like the
definition.
Sometimes it's like a curtain, like you said. That's not. I guess there's a hole in the curtain, so it doesn't have to be a hole in a wall. It could be a hole in anything.
So I think that like this sort of the curtain thing is weird to me. Like I understand it's a glory hole. It's like it's performing the function of a glory hole for everybody involved. And there's something about the fact that it isn't permanent that like makes me question its glory holeness or like its validity as a glory hole. Like
why
this ephemeral glory hole is just because I like the fact that there's a couple in Seattle that I know where they are and I know that they never move.
What do you like about that?
I don't know. It's just like the bathroom at Pony. There's a glory hole in there, and I've never seen anybody use it. I've not used it myself, but it's comforting. It's there. It's solid. It's reliable.
This is like your safety glory hole, like your comfort glory hole.
It's not. It's as opposed to like a security blanket with a glory hole in it.
Yeah, your emotional support glory hole.
Oh my God. It is at least nominally supposed to be anonymous, right? Like. Sure, there's like the chance that you're going to see each other or maybe talk in some fashion, but that like it is entirely possible that you don't know at all what the person looks like on the other side.
Yeah, but in cases where you're in the bathhouse or something, you could follow someone into the glory hole area, so you can maybe see them. So I think the act itself, the blowjobbage that takes place is anonymous in that you're not looking at any other or using any other part of them at that time. But I think it's possible you could have gotten a glimpse of their face.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't have to be your mouth. Like, I think of a glory hole as being
That's
an oral thing, but apparently some will just like back put their reverse beeper on and back right up to that glory hole with their hole.
Yeah. You can just stick your ass up on there. I would think that would be like, there's, especially if it's a hole in the wall, there's already, at least let's say an inch that you can't get all the way in his ass. So I would think, that extra inch that you can't get in would be disappointing.
Oh, well, and depending on the dick, it could be life insurance. Have you seen those? They're like those like donuts that like people with giant dicks are supposed to wear so that they have that like that much, however big the donut is, however thick the donut is, that much dick doesn't go in.
Oh no.
For the comfort of the receptive partner, that there's something to push up against with force that doesn't actually insert.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have this problem either, Kyle.
It just makes me think of the neck pillows that you wear when you want to sleep on the airplane.
Yes.
Like your dick needs a little neck pillow to keep it from being too far inserted.
There's one new way to compliment a hung guy. Hey, I think your dick needs a neck pillow. Oh, man. I love giant penises. Okay. So the first documented instance of a glory hole in history.
Wow.
It is from a court case known as the Trials of Thomas Vaughan and Thomas Davis in London from 1707.
Wow. I didn't know we'd have like... If you look at the ancient ruins of some Roman structure, whatever, a hole could have been a million different reasons there's a hole there. So I was like trying to figure out how we would know from history what hole is for this. And I guess a court case is a good reason to know this.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, this is definitely not the first time that a glory hole existed. It's definitely not the first time that somebody saw a hole and they were like, hey, we can get it on anonymously this way. That's almost certainly been a thing for ever and ever and ever and ever. But the first time that it like officially appears, it's verified, documented, is this case from 1707.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Now, the reason that we know about it is because it was actually an extortion case. So there is this place called the Lincoln's Inn Bog House in London. And apparently it was
There's a hole you don't want to put your dick into. Lincoln's head.
Lincoln's. Yeah. I mean, no, he wasn't shot in the head, was he? He was.
Oh, he wasn't?
He was shot elsewhere. JFK was shot in the head.
JFK was shot in the head. But from where, Mike?
Also, don't put your dick in that.
No.
So apparently this place was like known as a gay sex place. In fact, there was a group called the Society for the Reformation of Manners, and they were like known to hang out there so that they could arrest people.
Wow. That's shitty.
Yeah. And this group is fascinating. The Society for the Reformation of Manners. They were founded in 1691 in London, and they were trying to fight profanity, immorality, and other lewd activities in general, and of brothels and prostitution in particular. And they pushed really, really hard on all kinds of quote unquote sex perversions, but buggery, which was the fancy word for ass sex, was like one of their primary things, which that just goes to show also, we say it over and over again, gay people did not spring from the earth at Stonewall. Like, we had religious dickbag fuckface assholes that were trying to get us in trouble for banging each other at like the 17th century.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, this was like a known place for faggots. And so what had happened was there was this guy named Mr. Gillum.
Okay.
And he went to a lavatory stall to go pee-pee.
Okay, but did he go pee-pee?
Well, this is the thing. It depends on who you believe. Mm-hmm. But he says he was just there going pee when somebody put their dick through a hole in the wall.
Oh.
So there was a glory hole there, and somebody used it, and it was not with. He said it wasn't with any sort of consent. The quote is, "A boy in the adjoining vault put his privy member through a hole."
Old-timey discussion about glory hole is hilarious.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to hear just old-timey gay sex poems.
Oh, okay. Do you really?
Yeah, that would be, I think, beautiful and weird.
Let's see. I don't have. It's not a poem, but I was reading this thing called A History of Gay Sex, and it's Richter Norton wrote it and posted it to a blog. It's richtermorton.co.uk, and he has some citations in it, but so I'm not going to I can't speak for the veracity of all of this, but he says in this document that there's this other case where he's talking about whether verse existed before in the past, and he said that contrary to the view that gays in the past took strictly active or passive roles, top or bottom, 18th century trials show that most gay men took turnabout and enjoyed reciprocal sex, and there was a case in 1772 where Robert Crook, a 19-year-old man, was sharing a drink with Charles Gibson and said, quote, now here's where the old-timey gay sex happens, Kyle. This was your doing. You requested this.
Yes.
Quote, "I went into the yard to make water." So I went outside to pee. Mm-hmm. "I went into the yard to make water. He came into the yard while I was making water, took hold of my yard." Apparently yard was also a euphemism for cock and balls.
Love it.
"He came into the yard while I was making water, took hold of my yard, and began to work it with his hand. He said it was a very good one, and he liked it very well. He then asked me to go down to the vault, i.e. the bog house, with him, which I did. There he said, 'Did not you know Dick that lived in this house? He had a fine tool, almost as big as my wrist. You are just such a lad as he was. Let's see if yours is as big as his.' Then he worked my yard till he made it spend in his hand."
I'm spent. I love that.
Then he pushed me back upon the vault and worked me in the same manner on the seat of the vault till I did it in his hand. After that, he kissed me very heartily. Then he unbuttoned his own breeches, put my hand to his private parts, and kept tickling me about 10 minutes. He kissed it and rubbed it. Then he said, 'Now it will do.' Then he turned around and put his naked breech into my lap and put his hand behind him, laid hold of my yard, and pushed it into his backside. Twice or three times, I'm not sure which." After they were finished, Gibson wanted to change positions and bugger Crook. So he's like, "It's my turn to top." Crook claimed he was drunk and had been forced to take part in sex. Tale was old as time, apparently.
Wow.
But others had seen them kissing in the pub, and it transpired that this was not the only time both men had been to the vault together. And again, this is the 18th century in this particular case, but like we've been at it. We've been having like drunk alleyway handies and glory hole life for a long time, Kyle.
Wow. That was a good story. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the actual glory hole thing from 1707. Yeah. So he says he was there just to pee and that somebody stuck their dick through a hole. So he says he ran and that he was immediately followed by a male who cried out that he would have had sex with him. So he's being chased by the alleged dick haver. Mm-hmm. And so that's when Mr. Vaughn saw this go down and he confronted Mr. Gillum and said, "If you don't pay me money, I will go to the police and or tell your wife that you were here." So it didn't go to court because of the sodomy. It went to court because of the extortion.
Interesting. I don't know if I believe Mr. Gillum that he just saw a wiener and then started running away.
Right. It seems, but also, okay, I'll play devil's advocate. what if he didn't know that that's where that place was? Like, you know how, like, I think straight dudes accidentally end up at a gay bar every now and then.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And they're like, there's so few women here.
and then if you go to the bathroom and you don't know what happens there, and all of a sudden there's a dick, you might freak out.
Yeah, but I think you're like, okay, you finish peeing and then you leave. I don't think you run away in a tizzy going, he's after me.
Well, okay.
I think that part is a little extreme.
But so then why did he do that? Right? Because that just put him in a position to be then blackmailed by this other dude.
Oh, so that part is verified? Like he was caught running away?
Well, it's not that he was caught running away. It's that dude was trying to extort him. So he took him to court and said, stop extorting me. Mm-hmm. This whole thing was a big misunderstanding, and no, I'm not going to give you money, and trying to like get money out of me is bullshit.
Yeah, but so some dude caught him.
Yeah, it caught him and
doing what?
Running.
Yeah, okay. Caught him running away.
Being chased by a dude that was saying, but I wanted to fuck you.
Okay, so that part is definitely true, that like a third party saw Mr. Gillum being chased by a dude saying, I wanted to have sex with you.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I think so. I don't know. I have a copy of the notes from the court, and it's in old timey, so it's hard to understand. But interestingly enough, at least at that time in British law, in order for there to be a charge of buggery that would stick, you had to prove not only that were people having sex in the ass, but that there was also ejaculation. Apparently, like not coming made it not buggery. So
wow.
So it's probably why, had this gone to trial, that it wouldn't have stuck, but this extortion thing brought it all to light.
Isn't it? I mean, when there's no cum, it doesn't count. I agree.
Okay, Kyle. Anyway, so that's the first like documented time of a glory hole. Although again, we for sure have been doing it for like ever and ever and ever. But it really started being used for entrapment. Like we see a lot of glory hole stuff documented because of police activity and courtroom documents like that. Mm-hmm. And the word glory hole first appears in print in 1949. And they apparently had their heyday in the 50s and 60s and 70s when things were like really not great for gay people. And then depending on who you ask, they likely fell out of favor around the time of AIDS, that there was a lot of public sex acts that took a nosedive about the time that HIV AIDS became a problem in the early 80s. And people started changing their behaviors. And there are still glory holes all over the place, but they aren't as popular as they used to be. And a lot of that's just because we have rights. We don't have to skulk around nearly as much. Safe sex practices have changed. And we have things like Grindr. We don't need to go cruising nearly as much, which we talked about on the cruising episode. But that's, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, glory holes could have existed because you couldn't have sex at home because you had to be married. So you were probably married. You might even have kids. So you had to go somewhere else to find a place to have sex. And one of those places is, bathrooms or glory holes.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Some of that's a little hot, but whatever. and then I mentioned it a little bit, but apparently like straight people have gotten into the glory holes more and more. And a lot of that's because of porn. Yeah. That porn started driving behavior, I guess. So
yeah, I'm going to talk about straight dudes a little bit later.
Okay. But first you have some gata, I assume.
I have some gata, and this is qualitative, not quantitative. Okay. So we're just doing interviews. So this is called Glory Holes and the Men Who Use Them.
You could put almost anything at the front of that title. Twinks and the Men Who Use Them.
And the Men Who Use Them, yep. By Don Bapst. This was published in 2008 in the Journal of Homosexuality and confirmed it is a peer-reviewed journal.
Okay, great.
See, I did it.
You did it.
This is interviews with 10 openly gay men in San Francisco from 1998 to 1999. So this is interesting because this is
It's a very specific period of time.
Very specific period of time. This is, not after AIDS, like, while the AIDS crisis is like well known about and established. And these are also the out gay men in a very liberal city.
It's pre 9/11, post Backstreet. That's how historians mark this.
Yeah. When the Backstreet release date is common. So just some themes that the researcher pointed out. Many of the men related to glory holes with early sexual experiences. Many returned to glory holes to relive the thrill of early sexual experiences.
Okay.
Some
hold on. Is that why I keep going back to the underwear section at like Target?
Yes.
Just to relive that.
That's why I keep watching that Backstreet Boys video where they all get soaked in water.
Yeah. Oh, that's hot.
Or that Enrique Iglesias picture where he's in like cheetah pants and an open shirt.
Oh my God. He was so pretty it hurt your eyes.
It was like befuddling how beautiful he was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. I don't know.
I assume.
I presume. I don't know.
He's not dead, is he?
I hope not. I think we would have heard about it.
All right.
And I would have cried some gay tears of sadness. Some people return to glory holes because they are simply synonymous with sex as they know it.
Ooh, that's okay.
What's your ooh about?
I've heard it said, like anecdotally, that glory holes are for dudes that are on the DL, like they're just sneaking away to get off, or it's for dudes that like aren't conventionally attractive, and it's easier for them to have sexual encounters that way because of the anonymity factor. And that was my reaction when you said that. I was just like sex that they're used to, or whatever it was that however you phrased it, accustomed to.
They're sex as they know it. It is
Sex
synonymous
as they
with
know
sex. Yeah, with sex as they know it.
Yeah, and I don't know, like that's harsh, or like makes me feel icky, but it might be true because gay men are so like visual and have such exacting standards of beauty and masculinity, and like, but if you want your hole filled, like there's a way to just have your hole be the part that gets involved. I don't know.
I would challenge that assumption about glory holes. I think it could be for those types of men and others. I think there are other people that like it as well, not just those.
No, for sure.
Like every man interviewed said something about the quote thrill of the unknown being a pleasurable part about glory holes.
See, that scares the shit out of me, which we're going to talk about later.
Okay.
But, yeah.
There was perception of their bodies as a common theme, which you mentioned this. Some felt like they could get someone they might normally not be able to get, either straight guy, or they could get a more attractive guy than themselves. Or this was interesting. At least one man said that he could escape from the role he typically played in society, even though that role was an attractive man. He said the research paper said, quote, for at least one man, glory holes offered an opportunity to hide his attractiveness so that sex became centered around the act itself and not around associations made with his appearance. Can you imagine how hard your life is if you're so attractive you have to go to glory holes so people don't notice how attractive you are?
Yeah.
It's a tough life.
That seems, I don't know, whatever. Like, I want to be the judge, you know?
Yeah.
Show me your dick.
Yeah. They didn't include pictures in this research paper. Prove it. A couple quotes that I wanted to read.
Also, hold on. Wait.
Oh, no, we're not done. Okay.
How hot do you have to be, assuming this guy isn't full of shit, how hot do you have to be for your hotness to be distracting from the sex experience? That like the sex, I'm so hot, the sex is bad. I have to hide myself.
We would be having such better sex, but I'm so entranced in your face and how beautiful. I can't stand to go down on you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. A couple quotes that I wanted to read. One man said glory holes are, quote, an almost political expression against the rules of sex in our society. It's like you can act on your basest animalistic emotions and there's absolutely nothing else going on there. It's sex just for sex. And I think that's totally liberating. So I think that's part of this other group of men that you might have not included in the past, is these people that like just this raw animalistic. It's just about the dick and nothing else. It's, there's you can't even kiss or look at each other or do anything else. It's just like all about getting your dick off.
Or getting a dick off.
Or getting a dick off. Like the next quote, good segue.
Great. Like we planned it, Kyle.
Whenever we point out that we did a good segue, it always makes the segue worse, which I don't, but but
it's authentic. It is who we are.
But it is who we are. So good segue. Okay. Quote, I suppose that they're interesting because you can congratulate yourself on the number of guys that you can do at one time. There's a certain excitement in sucking a lot of men one after another. And then you feel like since you've come out and paid to get in, you might as well get your money's worth.
Okay. I don't know if we should maybe talk about the sunk cost fallacy, but other than that, I think
if you start dividing the cost that it cost me to get in divided by the number of dicks, it goes down. It becomes more and more affordable every dick you suck.
Yeah, sure. It's on sale. We're losing money if we don't buy
You're
it.
losing money if you don't get this dick off. Many seem to alternate between being the giver and getter, which I was surprised that they alternated like that. I assumed there would be one role that you would fill. And it was either out of the desire to do so, wait, what?
Phil, you said Phil and it made me laugh.
Oh, sure. Okay, great. Thanks. Either out of the desire to do so or out of the perceived expectation from other participants. So yeah, that surprised me. And I will say this is the conclusion that the paper left us with. Glory holes are relatively basic objects, yet upon conversing with the men who use these objects, it becomes apparent that glory hole sex is no less complicated than sex without partitions. There is a range of motivations and experiences associated with glory hole sex as large as the number of people who use them. There you go. That's the data.
I've got some air.
From stuffing that air from a dick?
Yeah. Not really. But maybe after this.
Dreams.
I was going to ask you a question and then I forgot it.
Interesting. This is not one of our best segues. If we're going to point out the good, we have to also note the bad.
Sure.
This is so far not one of our best segues ever.
All right. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah. This is why we lose the podcasting awards every year.
Yeah. Damn it. Derek and Romaine.
Yeah.
Or whoever.
Or whomever.
I did read in all of this stuff a thing that I have been kind of fascinated by, and I don't know how it fits in here except for the sort of obvious thing. But there was first this Richter Norton guy that I found. He says some historians of sexuality argue, which there are historians of sexuality, Kyle.
Sure, I guess so. I guess there's historians of everything, right?
But sexuality? Anyway, some historians of sexuality argue that oral sex between men and women wasn't common until the early 20th century. They argue that blowjobs weren't a normal part, an average part of the heterosexual experience until recently. What do you think about that? I just assumed blowies were forever.
I'm going to get that tattooed on my back.
That's an ironic place to put it.
That's true. On my chin? On my neck. I don't know.
You get a neck tattoo that says blowies are forever.
Or on my tongue.
Oh, that would hurt like a motherfucker, but
that would hurt so bad. It would be funny forever. I
Your mom
also
would be so proud.
right. She already hates me. It doesn't matter.
My mom would be proud. So
that's true. That'll make up for it. We said at the top of the show that if there's a hole, then a dick's probably going in it.
Mhm.
I think that the mouth is a hole, and I thought that dicks would go in holes no matter what. And I remember actually in college when I was still dating a girl, because I dated a girl early in my college years before I came out. She was like, I don't understand blowjobs. Like, wouldn't you just want to have sex? Like, and I didn't know how to answer because I didn't want to have either of them with her. So, so I didn't know what to say. But maybe it's like, oh, I might as well just have full on penetration. But I don't know. I assumed that oral has been a thing for forever.
I agree. I like, but I'm also not the expert, like trust expertise or whatever. One of the pieces of evidence that he points to is that there's a dude named Havelock Ellis, and he wrote a book called Sexual Inversion, and it was published in 1897. And in that book, again, we didn't spring from the ground at Stonewall, studied 12 gay men, and in it said that 9 of them preferred anal sex compared to only 3 who preferred oral. And I don't know. Oral's just easier, Kyle.
It's just so much easier. There's no douching involved. I don't have to douche my mouth.
Right. Anyway, I don't know. That's not what I wanted to talk about, though.
Okay.
What I did want to talk about is this urban legend that I alluded to, and you had talked about the thrill of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that there is a very real, like, two sides of the same coin, terror of the unknown.
Yeah.
And putting your dick in a thing that you don't know exactly what is on the other side is fucking terrifying to me. Isn't, like, you don't have a conversation. Like, you just, like, I think, like, most glory hole situations are that. You just, like, put your dick in there and see what happens. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think not. I think you might make some hand gestures, or like, put a finger through, or like you might do something leading up to it to know that you're both interested.
Mm-hmm.
I think it may not be just a blind stick my dick in and hope it works.
Well, so there is a string of urban legends that are all related to glory holes that involve the dick somehow getting trapped in the hole. Now, there are lots and lots of different variations that I've read. One is a mouse trap, that they put their dick through the hole and a big mouse trap gets attached. And then because you don't have use of your hands, depending on how the glory hole is constructed, if the mouse trap is too big for you to pull out, you might not be able to. But I think that these must be like industrial strength mouse traps or something, because I can't imagine my dick getting stuck in a mousetrap like that. I couldn't get back through the hole.
Yeah, I agree.
The participants that are involved in these kinds of stories also change. Sometimes it is gay men. Most of the time it's gay men. Sometimes there's a jilted lover that's involved. Sometimes there's a mistaken identity that's involved, like a boss and an employee kind of a situation. But the oldest version that I could find of this comes from the 1940s. And is a old woman who doesn't know precisely where she is or what she's doing, but she wanders into a dirty magazine store, which, especially in the earlier days, quite often had sex places for sex booths, but glory holes were a part of that rotation. Anyway, she takes a magazine and goes and sits down, and a man sticks his dick through the glory hole, and she is startled, and so she sticks a hat pin through his penis. And then, because it is wider than the hole, he can't pull out, and that it ends with this like moralistic tale of like, don't surprise old ladies with your dick. And
I mean, that's a good life lesson. I like where I don't like the story. I like where it ended up though.
but it has all of the trappings of an urban legend. This almost certainly never actually happened to anyone, but
Yeah.
it speaks to this very real sort of visceral fear of what's going to happen to my dick when it's in there.
They need to make a gay Saw film.
Ooh.
Like one of the sequels needs to be a gay version, because you could have some like gay Saw scenarios, and would be one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else would be in there. What else would you put in there?
Like there's this big whole room of hot guys, but everyone's tops.
Human centipede, but instead of mouth to ass, it's mouth to dick, to mouth to dick, to mouth to dick.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I don't baked goods with semen in them. I don't know. Like anyway, there's this string of urban legends. I just thought it was really interesting that the oldest one that seems to be out there is that old. It's from the 40s, where the instrument is a hat pin, which hat pins haven't really been in fashion for a long time. But just, yeah, it's scary to me, the just not knowing. Is that what the Into the Unknown song from Frozen 2 is about?
Yeah, it's about glory holes.
Unknown.
Yep. It must be.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the urban legend thing I wanted to tell you.
What should I do and ask Reddit?
Yeah, you should.
Okay, we actually use Quora for this one, so it's an Ask Quora.
I mean, it still Ask Reddit. It's a better. It rolls off the tongue better.
It rolls off the tongue way better. Someone said, "Have you ever been to a glory hole accidentally or on purpose? If so, how did it go?"
Could it be like it's one or the other?
It's either accidentally or it's on purpose. There's no in between, folks. Someone said, "I have seen very large holes cut into the walls, which separates men's room stalls. I wasn't sure why they were there and felt a little weird being looked at while I'm doing my business, but I ignored them. Didn't realize what they were until later." Weird.
Oh my God.
I wonder how many people have this experience where they look back later and think, "Oh, that was a fucking glory hole."
Yeah. There was a description of, it was hilarious. It was like police paper. It was a police description of what a glory hole is and how they're used. And it said that like the first indication that it's a glory hole will be either someone's eye, their fingers, or their tongue coming through it. But like similar, like I don't want a hat pin in my eye either. I can't imagine just like putting my face up to some random ass hole. That scares me.
I can't imagine just sticking my tongue through. Like that's the least appealing thing I've ever thought of, is a tongue just darting out in a glory hole. But
lots of like supposedly hot pictures of glory holes are that. It's the open mouth with tongue extended.
Yeah. Huh.
Your dick could be here.
Insert dick here. Another person said
you get that on your upper lip like a mustache.
Oh yeah, it's a mustache, like, but the words are form a mustache. Yeah. That's hilarious. Someone said lots of times when this great place called Erotic City was in KC, I suppose I was a natural at sucking cock, so didn't have to learn much, but great place to get a non-dick when I was married and in a rush to get off.
Oh, a non-dick.
A non-dick. Oh, yeah.
A non-dick. Like, no, that's why you're there, girl.
That's generally a vagina, but yeah, get anonymous dick when I was married and in a rush. So, I mean, that's part of what I said in the opening. Like that may have been why they used to be more popular, is it's a good anonymous place to, and it's a quick interaction, hopefully.
Yeah. If you're good at your job.
If you're good at it, yeah. I guess it depends. Someone else said, "Oh yes, I used to go when I would get really horny and let a guy suck me off. Then once I decided to try sucking a cock, I was hooked, loved the feeling of a cock in my mouth, the taste of pre-cum, and just the experience of being a man, such pleasure. I now enjoy sucking more than being sucked." So that sounds like a convert. Like a top to bottom conversion camp that he just went through. Someone else said, "So for my 22nd birthday, 2 of my friends took me to a bi bar." Side note, I don't know what a bi bar is.
Like a bar for bisexuals?
Yeah.
Is that real?
I don't know. I think that's just a bar.
Oh, like a bar for bisexuals.
Oh, we're going to look it up. Sure.
There's a Yelp for top 10 best bisexual bars in Seattle.
Oh.
What? I hate this.
Do you recognize any of them?
Well, there's binetseattle.org.
Is that a bar?
No, it's not a bar, but Bimo Bi Bar is a bi-monthly event.
Oh, bi bar. Is it looking up bi-monthly?
Yeah, like it's like a bar takeover thing. So they go to straight bars, but they take it over, and they're like, any bar's a gay bar if you bring enough friends. Any bar's a bi bar if you bring enough bis.
Oh, bi-monthly. They did that on purpose. That's funny.
Yeah.
Huh.
Also, this will only make sense to Seattleites, I suppose. But that Yelp says number 1 is Wild Rose, which that's where the lesbians go.
Yeah,
and,
that's the lesbian
number
bar.
2 is the Crescent Lounge, which I think.
Oh,
the
we were
addition
there
of
recently.
Karaoke makes it bi. I think.
Yeah. I thought that place was just full on gay. I didn't know that wasn't already a gay bar. Okay. Anyway, so my friends took me to a bi bar. I was having an awesome time. Then they took me to the bathroom. It was unisex, and they both went into one of the stalls and dragged me in. As I'm getting in, I notice a penis sticking out of the hole in the wall. This is when I realize it's a glory hole. Both of my friends are like, "Happy birthday, start sucking." I panicked for a sec, and then my cheer squad started cheering me on. And so I decided to go for it. I ended with some sperm as a souvenir in hair for the whole night, and my cheer squad didn't tell me. Buggers. Yes.
Huh.
What?
I'm debating what I would do if you tried to give me that as a birthday present. Like I would probably say thank you, but leave so I could enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, but get the fuck out. Don't watch me blow this dude.
Whatever. It takes all kinds.
I didn't know how I felt about this experience anyway. Like, it was almost like a non-consensual gift of a dick that he had to then became consensual eventually. But like, I don't think you should surprise someone with a penis to blow.
I mean, you got to be really sure that that's going to land.
Yep. You got to know your friend. This friend may be a very big slut.
And I mean, might not be their first rodeo together as a cheering section.
That's true. That's
Maybe
true. We don't know their situation.
Yeah.
The last one is I was tied up inside one for a weekend as punishment. Joke was on them as I had an awesome time.
Great.
Yeah. So that's what some people said about glory holes on Quora.
My goodness. Well, the internet's the gift that keeps on giving, Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay, so we definitely, for Patreon, we're going to talk a little bit more about personal experiences, but we'll go over tips for glory holes. And but first, I definitely wanted to. It could be a short. This will be a short segment. I found an article called "Who Invented the Glory Hole? Glass Blowers or Gays?"
I saw something like that and didn't click on it because I thought you may cover it in history. So I saw this and avoided it.
Yeah. So glory hole is the way that we've been saying it this whole time, but it is also legit what they call the hole that you put glass into when you're glass blowing and putting it into the kiln for heating it up so that it gets melty so that you can shape it. And the Netflix has this reality show about glass blowing called Blown Away, and they talk about glass, or it's a glass blowing competition. And so this article is just trying to break down like who called it that first. Do you have a guess?
I want to say the gays because I feel like the gays always start the trend.
Yeah, I would have said that also. And the short answer is that it's probably the glass blowing kind. So
Maybe it was gay glass blowers.
well, the first time the word glory hole was used at all in any sense was in 1825, and it meant a junk drawer.
Huh.
Like you would throw things in your glory hole, like your extra keys or your markers, or it's just a junk drawer. And then later it began to be used to describe a filthy, stifling cell or a small room for degraded beings like prisoners, which is starting to feel gay glory hole-ish, right?
Yeah.
But it started being used for glass blowing in 1849, and the term glory hole being used to refer to a glory hole wasn't until 1949. So
Wow.
100 years later, glass blowers definitely got to it first. But there's a bunch of, if I had more time, I was going to do a game with you of glass blowing, gays, or both. But I didn't have time to do it. But Karen Sherman, who is a glass blower, and she says, quote, glass blowing holds no illusion of role playing in its language. The jargon is filthy and wonderfully homoerotic. The glory hole is just one of many potentially suggestive terms among the glass blowing lexicon. In addition to putting your pipe in the glory hole, you paddle someone's bottom and you blow them after they jack. One day my instructor said, when you come out of the glory hole, you'll blow, jack, blow, jack. I expressed silent gratitude that none of my classmates were named Jack.
That's good.
Anyway, that's the glass blowing glory hole thing.
Okay, the thing I think we need to talk about is straight dudes using glory holes.
Oh yeah. Which they do, but I don't. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Go.
I got this from a Male magazine article by C. Brian Smith, and in it, C. Brian Smith talks about a straight guy who posted to the username is Sir Some Dior Some in a bodybuilding.com forum.
Oh God.
Who writes, quote, I am straight and have a girlfriend, but I came across an ad on Craigslist one day in the M4W section that advertised a private glory hole where you can watch straight porn while this dude sucks you off on the other side. I figured what the hell and gave it a shot. It turns out I got the best BJ of my life that day, and I go back like every 2 or 3 days because it feels so damn good. I can't help myself. I don't consider it gay because I never see the guy, and I'm focused on porn the entire time I'm getting my cock sucked.
Okay, this is blowing me away. I thought you were going to talk about straight guys with a lady friend on the other side of the glory hole. This is like, I know that's a dude's mouth and I don't care because I can't see him.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes it not gay, bro.
I think I said it before. I think I do think it makes it not gay.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
This is like Joe Court always talks about straight dudes that have sex with other men. And it's like, why is that? Well, if you're watching straight porn the entire time that you're getting your dick blown, and you don't ever, all that happens is your dick is getting blown. You don't even look at another dude.
Okay.
It's almost like you might as well be using a dick sucking machine. It's just neutral.
So what if you could see him? Like, what if it wasn't just a glory hole for the mouth, but for the face, and he had to see this dude's face?
I think that makes it a little bit easier for people to wrap their minds around. But I think even if you could see him, if he's not turned on by the guy himself, just the stimulation, then he can still be a straight guy.
I'm going on an emotional journey here, Kyle, because I think about like all of the dude sex that I was imagining in my head while I was banging my ex-wife and getting off, and then thinking like that was pretty not gay, but it was still pretty gay. Like, was I gay the whole time? I guess I was. Like this.
Yeah, I think you were gay the whole time.
I was gay the whole time. Okay. Thank you for validating me with this weird scenario.
Yeah. I'll give you another insight that they gave into straight guys with glory holes. They interviewed
straight guys call me. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, HMU. One guy they interviewed for this article, whose name is Beastly Bottom,
Oh God.
says he knows when a guy is straight because they'll often text him afterwards wanting to know how their cock compares in size to others, how it tastes, was it a big load, etc. And the quote from Beastly Bottom is, quote, guys who want a lot of feedback on how their dick was, in my experience, correlates to a guy who behaves and presents as straight, but is exploring curiosity. It's the equivalent of peeking over the urinal next to you to see if he's bigger than you, to see how you measure up. A guy who wants to know how he measures up doesn't have a lot of comparable data points. Gays know how they measure up.
That's true.
It's interesting, the neediness of a straight guy, defines him as straight. Like, usually you would think of that as a gay quality. Like, how was it? How did I do? Was it okay? Like,
yeah. It is like, it is pretty homoerotic to be interested in like how your dick compares to other dicks. Like, there's like, that's
yeah. But I think even straight dudes wonder that for themselves too. And they, other than porn, don't get a lot of ways to know that information. So having a gay dude tell you is one of the few ways.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. And you're right that there's also, through porn, straight porn, glory holes have become a new kind of area of, like, Pornhub has a glory hole category. There's women at gloryholes.tumblr.com. There's gloryholeswallow.com. Apparently.
I was looking for like ways to find glory holes, and I went to holelisting.com. And the thing is, don't go there. Nobody go there.
Why?
Because it's not actually a list of glory holes. It's like, it's clearly like badly AI'd spam bullshit. And it also says that the only glory hole in Seattle is at Salt and Straw.
Huh. I don't think that's correct.
It is not correct.
Yeah.
There's many, many, many.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are any at the ice cream store.
I doubt it. Which, if you could have ice cream and a glory hole, then that's Derek's new favorite place.
Mm-hmm. But in the Patreon segment, I will go over the one that I found that's legit and some of the listings that are in it for Seattle.
Okay. Sounds good. So glory holes were not started by the gays. They're still pretty gay, but they're getting straighter. So they're actually less gay than I thought.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I think from one perspective, they were for a lot of men, they were a necessity. Like they were like the only option that we had. Was public sex of some kind, and glory holes became a variation on that. And I think that as we've gotten more acceptance and more rights and less need to hide, I think that need has gone down, and glory holes have become less gay by extension.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's kind of like anal, where like straight people start to learn about the stuff that gays do, and they're like, oh, maybe we'll try that thing. And so I think then they start to pick up on like gay sex practices and take them for their own. So I think this has been one of the things that's happened to.
Yeah. Huh.
I'm surprised that at the end of this episode we came away with glory holes are less gay than we thought.
I agree.
Isn't that weird? They seem like the gayest thing. They're still pretty gay, don't get me wrong, just not as gay as originally I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly. Still like mostly true, or like
yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
I need to tell you where the nearest glory hole is.
Break. I can't wait. Break.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest.
We're going to do our gayest and straightest. But first, hey.
Hey.
You want to be good cop or bad cop, Kyle? Let's try you be bad cop. It'll be fun.
Oh, hey, motherfuckers.
Hey, buddies.
Your impersonation of me when I'm good cop. Yeah, that's what I do. Hey, assholes. We have our 400th live stream coming up. And if you don't want to be a dick, then you'll show up.
We want your support. Please come and don't listen to how mean Kyle is being. You all know who your real friend is here.
Yeah, you douche nozzles. It's on Sunday, August 18th from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific. There's an invite in our Facebook group if you want to go and say that you're going. That helps promote the event.
Yeah, it helps promote us feeling good about doing it and that we're not going to be talking to an empty room.
Yeah. Facebook group or Facebook page?
It's on both, but I posted it to the page and then linked it in the group.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. So either one, you should be able to see it.
Yeah. Well, our hotline is, if you're listening to this on Patreon tonight, if you're listening to this on Patreon, because you get it a day early, tonight is our happy hour. Please come to it.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Our happy hour is, just to be clear, is on Wednesday, August 7th.
I'll post the link to the Patreon app. Okay. Our website? Yes, our website. Our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We are on socials at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, especially if it's your gayest and straightest, is 585-5-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rate supply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to send us questions for our 400th episode, you can send those to gayishpodcast plus 400@gmail.com.
Yeah, we're also still looking for favorite group sex stories after our Threesomes 3 episode. Kyle and I are going to pick out our favorites and give away some merch. Just send us along your favorite group sex story and we'll pick one.
Yeah.
Our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109.
Gayest and straightest?
Yeah, let's do our gayest and straightest. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The straightest thing about me this week is talking to my dad about my Jeep. It won't start and it has problems. And he and my stepmom were here for a Mariners game and we had lunch and I was just, oh my God, I don't think he's ever been more proud of me as a faggot. And then the gayest thing about me this week is going house hunting, which is fun and cool and neat and interesting, but how stressed out I was about where all of these places are in relation to the gay bars. Like every house I was like, oh, but the gayborhood is far. I don't know if that's worth it. I just like distance from community and how heavily that has weighed on my like house buying prospects. Yeah,
come live in the gayborhood, Mike.
I already do right now, but it's temporary, Kyle. Don't get used to it.
Do it forever.
All right. Well, how about you? What's yours?
My straightest is I was with a friend and there was a drill just sitting out because he had been, I don't know, using it. And I picked it up and was like, I want to use this on something. And he was like, had spare wood. So I just drilled for fun.
Speaking of glory holes.
Great. My gayest is I've been doing this whole show in my underwear.
Oh, but you're wearing a polo from the neck up.
I look very classy from the neck up.
From the waist up.
From the waist up. Yep. I definitely do.
Great. Congrats. Well, it is hot. So
it's toasty. And we have to turn off our ACs to record. So y'all get good sound quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Although this room is terrible for it, I think. But anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, we have a listener's gayest and straightest left to us as a voicemail from Ash in Omaha, Nebraska. Here we go.
Hi, Gayish Podcast. This is Ash calling in from Omaha, Nebraska, the rare lesbian listener. I'm calling in with my gayest and straightest. My gayest would be doing my yard work, which includes taking a chainsaw to some trees, which always feels very butch. And then my straightest would be my wife drawing me a bath afterwards and putting all kinds of fun hair stuff in my hair to make it lovely. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
Kyle, we did it.
What did we do?
We have a listener who is a lesbian.
We do have lesbian listeners. We should have like a separate Facebook group for lesbian gayish listeners so they can all interact and have their own fun time.
Or at least their own Discord channel, like we do so we know where all the Canadians are. We keep them in the Canadians only channel. We'll have a lesbians only channel in Discord.
Yeah.
Also, of course, like power tools. That's like the butchest gay lesbian thing you can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And a beautiful, lovely little bath. Sounds very straight.
I guess that's it. We thank you to all of the people who make glory holes happen. Who are these mysterious hole makers?
Yeah, they're like the Keebler elves, but for holes. And thank you also to our Super Gap Bridgers. Thank you to Locomotive, Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squoggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crowley, Yost Osel, Jonathan Montañez, Force Nail, Steve Douglas, Explosive Lasagna, Michael Cubbington, Just Jamie, Thomas B, Dusty Sands, A. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your money. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios, which has no glory holes in it. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
At least yet. See you next week.
Bye. At the same time, the world is a boiling hot piece of garbage fire. So, like, it must be a mess growing up in the world today.
You made it sad, Kyle.
I mean, how can you not? Gayish.